I'm sharing this story with you, dear readers and friends, not for any purpose other than to unburden my guilty conscience and to hope that no one else will make the same mistakes I did. Though I've graduated, started working, and now have a girlfriend, while my older sister has married and just had a baby, the memories of my past still haunt me, leaving me restless at times. I grew up in a poor rural area in what used to be Hatay province. My family had 3 kids. I'm the middle child, with an older sister, Emily, who's a year older than me, and a younger sister, Sophie, 3 years younger. Our parents never had the chance to get an education because both sides of the family were so poor, but through hard work and careful planning, they managed to make our family situation a bit better than our relatives. We weren't rich, but we were doing okay for a rural household. Back then, Emily was in 9th grade, and I was in 8th. One evening after dinner, as we all sat around drinking tea and chatting, my mom spoke up. "Kids, our family is where it is today because your dad and I worked so hard, enduring years of hardship, just so you could have a better life. We never got to study because of our circumstances, and that's held us back in many ways. Nowadays, society values education so much, and people with knowledge always have an edge. That's why we've decided to get you 2 into specialized schools in the district. That's the best way for you to succeed. As for Sophie, she's frail and often sick, so she'll stay here and study locally. We'll figure things out for her later." True to their word, after pulling strings and calling in favors, my parents got us into 2 prestigious specialized schools in the district, which later became part of Hanoi City. Emily started high school, and I entered 9th grade. Since we had no relatives or house in the district, my parents rented us a small apartment in a nearby village. It was a simple, self-contained room, not too big, not too small, just enough space for a double bed, a study desk, and a corner for cooking. Those first days of living on our own were tough. We had to do all the chores our parents used to handle so we could focus on studying: grocery shopping, cooking, washing dishes, cleaning, laundry. But over time, we adjusted to city life. Emily was sharp and quick, so she handled things easily. I, on the other hand, was quiet and shy, but I was obedient and diligent, so we never argued or got jealous of each other. After school, Emily would stop by the market to buy food and cook, while I washed dishes, swept the floor, and helped with laundry. Emily was like both a mother and a sister to me. Since she was only a year older, we often acted carefree, like best friends. We'd tease each other, tickle one another, and burst into laughter. Sometimes we even bathed together, scrubbing each other's backs, or on cold nights, we'd hug each other to sleep, thinking nothing of it. Our life as siblings flowed quietly like that. Besides chores, we took our studies seriously, fully aware of what our parents hoped for us by sending us here. Every 2 or 3 weeks, they'd visit to bring supplies. Our room would be filled with rice, vegetables, fish sauce, salt, and essentials. Before leaving, they'd give Emily some money and remind us to study hard. As their business in the village improved, the money they gave us increased, making our lives more comfortable than those early days. By the start of 10th grade, I began noticing big changes in myself. My voice deepened, hair started growing above my lip, and my body felt different. From a skinny, dark-skinned kid, I started filling out. I wasn't as carefree anymore. I stopped bathing with Emily, stopped sleeping in her arms, and sometimes I'd wake up to find myself aroused for no reason. One morning, I thought I'd wet the bed, panicked, grabbed my shorts, and awkwardly shuffled to the bathroom, mumbling, "Emily, wait, let me shower first." She teased, "What's with you today? Hurry up, we'll be late for school." At school, I was the quiet type, sticking to a small group of 3 or 4 guy friends. I barely spoke to girls, not because I didn't want to, but because I was too shy to approach them. I sat next to Jake, a good friend who got along well with me partly because I often let him copy my homework or helped him with assignments he didn't understand. One day, we got off early from our last class, and Jake invited me and another friend to his house. His family was well off, living in a 4-story house at the start of the street. His room was amazing, fully equipped with a TV, a stereo system, and even a computer with an LCD screen and internet. We messed around for a while. One friend played music, another watched a movie on TV, and Jake played games on the computer while I flipped through a newspaper. After a bit, Jake called out, "Hey, wanna see something hot? Come over here." We all gathered around, dragging me along. On the screen was an explicit scene of a couple, with sounds that made my teenage hormones surge. We stared, unblinking, as I felt my heart race. I'd never seen anything like that before. After a moment of awkwardness, I got hooked on the actors' movements, my body reacting in ways I didn't understand. That night, after nearly finishing my homework, those images flooded back. I couldn't focus. My body reacted again, and after a few minutes of daydreaming, I stretched, trying to shake off the tension. I glanced at Emily, who'd fallen asleep, a magazine over her face, her breathing steady. The fan, on its lowest setting, lifted her nightgown slightly, revealing her long, smooth legs. Her yellow spaghetti-strap top made her skin look even fairer, and I noticed her chest rising and falling with each breath, something I hadn't paid attention to before. Shaking off those thoughts, I grabbed my pillow, moved to the far side of the bed, turned off the light, and fell asleep. The summer heat arrived with the sound of cicadas and blooming phoenix flowers, signaling the end of the school year. We couldn't wait to go back home to the village, to play with friends, be with our parents, Sophie, and escape the suffocating city. One scorching day in our apartment, I was studying, sweat soaking through my shirt. I took it off and turned the fan to max, but it didn't help. Deciding to splash some cold water on myself, I stood up, noticing Emily wasn't around. I figured she was at the landlord's daughter's house since I'd heard her being called over earlier. I stripped off my shorts, headed to the bathroom, and was about to douse myself when Emily walked out of the bathroom. Seeing me standing there, exposed, she burst out, "Oh my gosh, Liam, you're showing everything." She laughed loudly as I turned red, spun around to hide myself, and scrambled to cover up. Back then, I didn't wear underwear. I'd always just worn loose shorts, and no one had ever bought me any. I was too shy to buy them myself. Emily caught me like that a few times, and each time I'd turn away, embarrassed, while she'd smirk, teasing me. After one of our parents' visits, she must have said something to Mom, because Mom came back from the market with 4 pairs of underwear for me. From then on, I was never caught off guard again. The summer heat and the stench from the dump behind our building made our apartment unbearable, so after that summer, we moved to a larger, airier place. The new school year began, Emily's final year of high school, and my first year as a junior. I took on more chores to give her time to study, laundry, cleaning, and more. In my free time, I'd play shuttlecock with Tom, the landlord's son, who was a year younger than me. Sometimes I'd go to his room, and he'd show me adult videos he'd downloaded, like ones about forbidden relationships. Around this time, I learned what it meant to pleasure myself. One day while bathing, I was washing Emily's clothes first, a habit of mine, and as I scrubbed her pink underwear, those images from the videos came back. I noticed a strange, sticky white substance on her underwear with a sharp scent. Could she be doing the same thing as me? From then on, whenever I was alone and saw her bras or underwear, I'd indulge in those private moments. I started paying more attention to Emily, sneaking glances whenever I could, especially when she was at home in her shorts and tank tops or sleeping in thin nightgowns. I don't know when I became so obsessed, but I noticed how much she'd changed since we first moved here. Her face was rounder, her eyes sparkled, her lips were a perfect heart shape, and her straight nose highlighted her beauty as a young woman coming into her own. Her fair skin glowed, especially when she wore low-cut tops that showed off her necklace. Every time we passed each other, I'd close my eyes and inhale deeply, savoring her scent. Time flew by, and soon Emily was preparing for her high school graduation and the university entrance exam. I took care of her more, handling most of the housework so she could focus on studying. Part of me wanted her to succeed, but another part felt a strange, special attachment to her. They say proximity can ignite feelings, but I knew she was my sister. How could I feel this way? I tried to push those twisted thoughts away, but they wouldn't leave. I felt restless when she came home late, empty when she wasn't around, and overjoyed when she was. One evening, as she studied, I said, "Hey, Emily, my dear sister, are you tired? Want a drink or something to eat? Your little brother's here to help." She laughed. "Wow, such a dutiful brother. A pearl milk tea would be perfect right now." "No problem, leave it to me," I said, and within 10 minutes, I was back with 2 cold milk teas and some fried spring rolls. As she sipped her drink, she said, "Keep taking care of me like this, and next year when it's your turn, I'll do the same for you." I grinned. "That'd be great, but what if you get a boyfriend and forget all about me?" She shook her head. "No way, I'm a woman of my word." "But maybe you'll get a girlfriend and won't need me anymore." We laughed, finished our snacks, and went back to our routines, she to her books, and I to a college admissions guide she'd bought that afternoon. I stole glances at her, noticing the gap in her tank top under her arm, realizing she wasn't wearing a bra. As I started to doze off, she called, "Liam, you asleep?" "Not yet, just drifting," I mumbled. "Can you close the door for me? My back hurts." I got up, locked the door, and offered, "Let me massage your back for you." "Sure. Give it a few rubs, I've been sitting too long." Feeling her soft, smooth skin under my hands, those forbidden thoughts crept back, stirring my instincts. I leaned forward to avoid pressing against her, thankful I was wearing underwear. After a while, she said, "Why don't I lie down on the bed so you can do it properly?" My body jolted with a surge of energy as she lay down. My instincts roared, my underwear suddenly feeling tight. I fought to control myself. If she weren't my sister, I don't know what I might have done. I glanced at her face, flushed and relaxed, her eyes half closed as if savoring the moment. "Feeling good?" I asked. "More than good," she sighed. "Where'd you learn to do this so well?" "It's my talent," I teased. "Next time your back hurts, just let me know." She chuckled. "If I get addicted to this, you'll be the one suffering." "Don't worry, I've got you," I replied. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her image haunted me. Under the faint glow of the security light outside, I saw her sleeping, her nightgown fluttering with the fan's breeze. The distance between us on the bed felt so small yet so far. Swallowing hard, I turned away, indulging in my private thoughts alone. From that day on, our relationship grew closer, more carefree. I'd massage her almost every evening before bed, sometimes touching more sensitive areas. Once, I even kissed her back, and she frowned, saying, "Don't be silly," before closing her eyes, her cheeks flushed. The line between affection and sin blurred. I couldn't read her thoughts. Did she feel the same way, or did she just enjoy the massages? The boundaries of propriety between us shrank. She'd change in front of me without hesitation, and I did the same, as if we were a couple. Once, while she was removing a pimple for me as I rested my head on her lap, she teased, "Why's your chest so dark? You owe me for this." I laughed. "You're funny. My skin's not as fair as yours, of course it's darker. Good thing you take after mom and not dad like me, or you'd be just as dark. Bet yours is nice and pink, huh?" She smacked my ear. "You're ridiculous. Pink or dark, what's that got to do with you?" Emily aced her high school exams that year. After a few days back home to unwind, she prepared to return to the district for university prep classes. My parents told me, "Liam, go with her to cook and take care of things so she can focus on studying. We're worried about her being alone, and we're too busy to go. Sophie is too young to help." I agreed, partly because I wanted to be near Emily. We packed and headed back. The early summer rains fell endlessly, the sky gloomy, making everything feel melancholic. I'd sit alone in the afternoons, waiting for Emily to return from her classes, my heart sinking with each passing minute until I heard her bike. One day, she came back drenched, shivering despite her raincoat, mud splattered on her bike. I ran out, took her bike, and urged, "Go shower before you catch a cold. I'll get your clothes and heat some water." That evening, after studying, she complained of back pain again. I offered to massage her. She was wearing a thick shirt from earlier, which kept bunching up. I can't do it properly with this shirt, I said. Let me change into a tank top, she replied, then paused. Oh, the ones I washed this afternoon aren't dry yet. I'll just take this off. It's just us. No need to be shy. Under the neon light, her cheeks flushed as she lay down, her eyes half closed, clearly enjoying the moment as much as I was. My mind spiraled, my body reacting uncontrollably. The line between us felt like a soap bubble, ready to burst. After a while, I suggested, turn on your side, I'll crack your back. She obeyed, and as I pressed, my cheek brushed hers. She murmured, why is your face so hot? My teacher said boys always have higher body temps than girls. Really? I replied, distracted. A moment later, she groaned, okay, get off, you're heavy as a rock. You're squashing me. I slid off, turned off the light, and we went to sleep, her on her bed, me on mine. The room was pitch black. The landlord hadn't replaced the hallway bulb I'd told Tom about. I stumbled back to my bed, accidentally brushing her leg. Careful, you'll step on me, she teased. I whispered, Emily, are you scared of ghosts? Nope, ghosts don't exist. I'm more scared of thieves, she replied. What if a thief stole my precious sister? I'd die, I said, scooting closer. She laughed, you're such a flatterer. We hugged and fell asleep. The summer heat and the stress of university exams filled our student housing complex. Cicadas buzzed relentlessly, and the red phoenix flowers seemed to burn the sky. Emily pedaled to her classes daily while I watched her disappear behind the mossy wall at the end of the street. Tom was back in his village for the summer, leaving the complex quiet. Only our room and Rachel's, a working woman who was rarely home, were occupied. I went to the small market nearby to buy food, planning to treat Emily to her favorite duck noodle soup, along with some mangoes and plums. My parents had visited the day before, leaving us money and encouraging Emily to study hard, telling me not to skimp on food. Back home, I lay on the bed, nibbling on snacks and reading a newspaper, eventually dozing off. A neighbor's dog barking woke me, reminding me of the pile of laundry I hadn't done. As I washed Emily's pink underwear, those forbidden thoughts returned, and I indulged in my private ritual. The exam season passed, and we went home to enjoy the fresh air and await Emily's results. I tried to control myself around our parents, fearing they'd notice something off. Emily seemed to sense this too, and we acted normal as if nothing had happened. When the results came, she'd missed the university cutoff by 3 points. She was devastated, and so were we. Everyone encouraged her to try again next year. I entered my final year of high school without her. As she left, I hugged her tightly, telling her not to be sad. Over 2 years, we'd built countless memories, not just as siblings, but with a deeper, unspoken bond we both understood but would never admit. She told me to study hard, eat well, and not slack off. The housing complex buzzed with new students, but I felt empty without her. Her warmth lingered in our room, her image haunting me, her round face, sparkling eyes, smooth skin, long legs, and the glimpse I'd once caught of her in the bathroom. One evening, as I ate instant noodles, the landlord called, Liam, you've got a phone call. I ran over, wiping sweat from my forehead. Hello, who's this? It's me, Emily, she said. Oh, Emily. How are you? I miss you so much. I'm good. How about you? Studying well? Yeah, I'm doing okay, but I'm sad without you here. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. I've decided to study for a mid-level medical program. Mom and Dad said I should study there, and they'll help me find a job after. I'll be up in a few days, start cleaning the place, or I'll punish you if it's a mess. I was overjoyed, whistling as I tidied up, preparing for her return. 2 days later, my parents brought Emily back. They'd added a new fan and a small bed to our room, saying it'd be more comfortable for us. That night, a big storm hit Hanoi. Rain poured, thunder roared, and lightning lit up the room. We sat on the double bed, chatting, when I remembered I'd left my jeans out to dry in the hallway. I grabbed an umbrella and went to get them, but a strange sound from Rachel's room caught my attention. Peeking through her window, I saw her and her boyfriend, both naked, in the middle of an intimate moment, kissing passionately. I couldn't look away, my body reacting again. A gust of wind blew my umbrella away, snapping me out of it. I chased after it, returned to our room, and changed out of my wet clothes. Emily asked, "What took you so long? You're soaked." "The wind was crazy," I replied, shivering. I climbed into bed with her, pulling the blanket over us. "I'm freezing, let me sleep with you to warm up." "It's been so long since we did this," I said. "Fine," she agreed. As we lay there, I whispered, "Emily, I just saw Rachel and her boyfriend doing it." "What? You were spying?" "No, I just happened to see them. They were kissing and, you know." We talked a bit more, then she fell silent, probably asleep. I lay on my back, replaying the scene, when I felt her turn toward me, her face close to mine, her breath quickening. I pretended to sleep, breathing heavily. It felt like she was touching herself, then she stopped. The rain outside slowed, but the storm inside me raged. Suddenly, she kissed me, a sweet, warm kiss. Lightning illuminated her flushed face, shy but longing. It was our first kiss, but it was a sinful one. We gave in, crossing a line we couldn't uncross, stopping just short of the ultimate act when she whispered, "Don't, Liam. We're siblings." Her words snapped me back to reality. "I'm sorry," I mumbled. "It's okay, but let's stop here," she said, sitting up, grabbing her clothes and moving to her bed. I lay there, staring into the darkness, guilt washing over me. The next morning, she was gone when I woke at 9 a.m. Her bed was neatly made. We were awkward around each other that day, barely speaking. The tension lingered for days, but eventually, her bright smile returned, and we acted as if nothing had happened. Deep down, though, I couldn't forget that stormy night, the desire still burned. That year, my parents' construction materials business boomed. They bought land in Hanoi to build a house for me to live in during university and for Emily after she graduated. She enrolled in a mid-level medical program in Haidium, sharing a room with classmates. The night before she left, we had a small party with our neighbors, including Tom and Rachel. Emily drank heavily, her face turning pale as she stumbled to our room. I helped her lie down, covered her with a blanket, and went to brush my teeth. As I was about to sleep, she started vomiting, making a mess of her clothes and the bed. I cleaned her up, changed her into fresh clothes, and lay beside her, holding her as guilt gnawed at me for taking advantage of her state. We slept, but nothing more happened. The next morning, she asked, "Liam, did you change my clothes?" "Yeah, who else would've?" I replied. "Did you do anything?" "No way. Check if you're missing anything," I teased. She laughed. "I trust you." We cleaned up the mess together, and later that day, our dad picked us up to take Emily to her new school. Over the next year, we kept in touch, visiting home on weekends. I got used to life without her, but she was always in my heart. That year, I passed the university entrance exam for Hanoi University of Science and Technology. My parents threw a big party. Our family hadn't had a university graduate in years. They were proud. The new 5-story house in Hanoi was ready for me, a short distance from my school. My parents visited every weekend, bringing food, just like old times. Emily came too, and we'd all go out to eat. One Saturday, Emily called, saying she'd visit. I was tidying up when the doorbell rang. It was her, earlier than expected, her face red from the sun, her backpack heavy. "I thought you were coming this afternoon," I said, taking her bag. "Plans changed. A friend canceled," she replied, handing me some pastries she'd bought. After lunch, she napped while I played games, then we went shopping for groceries and personal items. She emerged from the bathroom in a yellow tank top and tight shorts, asking, "How do I look?" "Stunning," I said, my eyes lingering. That evening, after dinner, she asked me to massage her back. I hesitated, memories of our past flooding back, but I obliged. My movements were clumsy, my guilt holding me back. "You've lost your touch," she teased. "Maybe I need a tip to do better," I joked weakly. She sat up, adjusted her clothes, and went to the bathroom. It was past 11 p.m. I turned on the bedside lamp, grabbed a book, and lay down. She joined me, reading beside me, occasionally sighing. "Ready to sleep?" she asked. I turned off the lamp, and we lay in silence. Suddenly, she turned to me, her breath warm on my ear. The air felt charged. We didn't speak, we just held each other, kissing passionately, no longer shy like before. The storm from that night a year ago returned, stronger. "Emily, should I?" I whispered. "Yes, but gently. I'm already ready," she murmured. It was our first time for both of us. Afterward, we lay there, sharing the moment. "We're so messed up, aren't we?" I whispered. "It's fine, as long as no one knows," she replied. That night, we gave in again, more tenderly, more assured. The rain outside stopped, but our storm raged on. We woke at 11:30 a.m., the sun blazing. I saw a faint red stain on the sheets. I was her first, and she was mine. After I saw her off, guilt consumed me. This was just the first of many mistakes we'd make. Time passed. Emily graduated and started working, while I entered my second year of university. Living together again, we fell back into our sinful routine. She'd commute to work, and we'd eat dinner together, except on nights she stayed late. We continued our forbidden acts, unable to stop. That year, Hanoi faced historic floods, but the waters in our lives ran deeper. Our beautiful 5-story house was a facade. Inside, it hid our shameful secret. I felt like a monster, terrified of what would happen if our parents found out. I tried to stop, but my resolve was weak. We were trapped in a cycle of desire and guilt, our outward innocence masking the darkness within. People praised us as diligent, kind siblings, but they didn't know the truth. Eventually, Emily met someone, and so did I. The night before her wedding, she came back. We gave in one last time, 3 times, in fact, our final act of sin. 2 months later, her wedding was a grand affair in our village. I attended with my girlfriend, Ava, a student at the University of Commerce, and Sophie. As Emily left in her wedding car, her eyes teared up, a mix of joy and regret in her gaze. The next morning, I woke to the sound of the doorbell. It was Ava, here to help clean before my parents arrived. I felt a weight lift off me. The storm in my heart had passed. I vowed to give Ava all the happiness she deserved, making up for my past. The guilt would always linger, but I was ready to move forward, leaving that chapter behind for good.